I don't know who I married. I'm scared, but trying not to show it." These were the last words Nadine Campbell texted before she died. Within hours, her body drifted through the crystal-clear Maldivian waters, the same paradise where her wedding photos had been posted just days earlier. The security footage tells a chilling tale. At 10:30 p.m., Nadine and her new husband Terrence returned to their exclusive overwater bungalow, smiling. By 1:15 a.m., she's gone. The man who vowed to cherish her is frantically telling resort staff she fell during an argument. What changed in those 3 critical hours? A laptop left unlocked, a bank statement under a different name, a Google search that revealed the truth. The charming businessman who swept her off her feet was actually Richard Hammond, wanted fraudster with a dead ex-wife and a trail of victims across 3 countries. The dream honeymoon suite transformed into a trap. The man sleeping beside her wasn't just a stranger. He was potentially a killer who had done this before. When investigators examined Nadine's phone, they found she'd deleted her browser history, but not the photos she'd secretly taken of the evidence. She knew, and he discovered that she knew. This isn't just another vacation tragedy. This is the story of a calculated predator who almost got away with the perfect crime. If you want to understand how these sophisticated killers select, isolate, and eliminate their targets, hit subscribe now and turn on notifications. The warning signs Nadine spotted might save someone you love. Nadine Campbell built a reputation as one of Montego Bay's premier real estate agents by age 32. Her specialty? Marketing luxury beachfront properties to international clients, a niche that earned her Jamaica's Rising Star in Real Estate Award 2 years running. The glass-walled office she owned in the upscale Whitter Village showcased photos of her listings, multi-million-dollar villas overlooking the Caribbean Sea. "She worked harder than anyone I knew," explained Kimberly Reynolds, Nadine's closest friend since college. When other agents would quit at 5 p.m., Nadine was arranging sunset viewings because she knew the golden hour made properties irresistible. This work ethic stemmed from her upbringing. Raised by a single mother who taught high school mathematics, Nadine graduated at the top of her class from the University of the West Indies with a double major in business and marketing. What followed was a methodical climb from assistant to agency owner in just 8 years. Her clients described her as meticulous, observant, and refreshingly honest. She once talked me out of a property because she noticed foundation issues, recalled former client Michael Stevens. She said she'd rather lose a commission than have me call with regrets later. This careful attention to detail extended to her personal life. Nadine's mother, Claudette Campbell, remembered how her daughter researched everything. When she bought her car, she made spreadsheets comparing every feature. When she traveled, she planned each day. Nothing was left to chance. Friends expressed shock that someone so methodical would marry after just 4 months. Her cousin Rhonda noted, "Nadine dated a bank manager for 3 years and wouldn't even consider moving in together. Then suddenly she's married to Terrence? It didn't add up." What transformed this cautious, analytical woman into someone who would leap into marriage with a man she barely knew? How well do we really know the people we let into our lives? More importantly, what makes us suspend our normal judgment when romance enters the equation? January 15, 2016, Nadine's appointment book showed a 2 p.m. viewing at Blue Horizon Villa, a $3.8 million property overlooking Montego Bay. The client, Terrence Walsh, listed as Miami entrepreneur, referred by Sandals Resort concierge. Security footage from the property gate captured their first meeting. Nadine, professional in a navy blazer, extending her hand to a tall, tanned man stepping from a rented Range Rover. That handshake would change the course of her life. "He asked questions that impressed me," Nadine later told her mother. "Not just about the property, but about Jamaican architecture, local woods used in construction, even water filtration systems. He seemed genuinely knowledgeable." The 3-hour viewing ended with Terrence suggesting dinner to discuss investment opportunities. By dessert, real estate talk had shifted to personal histories. Terrence described building an import-export business after graduating from Georgetown, traveling between Miami, Panama, and Singapore. His phone gallery displayed photos of yachts, private jets, and global landmarks. Their first date extended into Terrence changing his return flight twice. What followed was a calculated courtship that dazzled everyone in Nadine's circle. February, daily deliveries of exotic flowers to her office. March, a private chartered flight to Negro for a beachfront dinner. April, matching Rolex watches, investment pieces, he called them. In May, introducing her to his sister Meredith during a weekend in Miami. Looking back, it was like watching a movie, Kimberly recalled. He studied what impressed her. When she mentioned loving jazz, suddenly he had connections to exclusive shows. When she talked about wanting to see Greece, travel brochures appeared with notes about private villas. The proposal came during a helicopter tour over Blue Mountain on May 23rd. The pilot, paid extra to circle a clearing where assistants had arranged flowers to spell "Marry Me," recalled how Terrence timed it perfectly with champagne already poured. The wedding at Rose Hall Great House in August featured 200 guests, many of whom had never met Terrence before. The $175,000 celebration included flying in a chef from New York and custom jewels for the bridal party. Yet red flags appeared even during this whirlwind. 1. Terrence insisted on handling all financial arrangements himself. 2. His business associates regularly canceled planned meetings. 3. Video calls with his family always encountered technical issues. 4. The Miami address he provided led to a virtual office. 5. His documented past seemed exclusively digital, no physical yearbooks, diplomas, or family photos. When questioned, he deflected with expensive distractions and logical explanations. The romance moved so quickly that concerns raised by Nadine's friends were dismissed as jealousy or overprotectiveness. "We were all enchanted by him," Rhonda admitted. "Who questions a fairy tale while it's happening?" The man Nadine married never existed. FBI records revealed Terrence Walsh was an identity created in 2014, complete with falsified Georgetown University transcripts, fabricated business registrations, and a Miami address that led to a mail forwarding service. The import-export company's impressive website displayed stock photos of shipping containers and corporate meetings, with phone numbers routing to voicemail boxes. Behind this facade was Richard Hammond, 38, wanted in 3 states for investment fraud. His actual education ended with a community college business certificate, followed by a series of sales jobs until he discovered a talent for financial manipulation. Hammond was exceptional at reading people, explained FBI Special Agent Marcus Donovan, who tracked the case. He studied his victims, learning their interests, desires, and vulnerabilities before approaching them. He didn't just present as wealthy, he presented as exactly the type of wealthy person each victim would find appealing. His criminal evolution began with simple insurance scams in 2010, progressed to romance-based check fraud by 2012, and culminated in sophisticated investment schemes targeting affluent women. By 2015, he'd perfected his methods, creating tailored personas for each mark. Hammond's bank record showed a pattern: large transfers from female victims, followed by luxury purchases used to impress the next target. The Rolex watches he gave Nadine had been purchased with funds from a Connecticut divorcee who believed she was investing in a medical startup. The most disturbing chapter in Hammond's history involved Victoria Lawson, a 36-year-old pharmaceutical executive whom he married in 2013 under the name Daniel Westfield. Their relationship followed the same template: whirlwind romance, lavish wedding, exotic honeymoon. 14 months into their marriage, Victoria died during a private boating excursion in the Bahamas. Hammond, Westfield told authorities she fell overboard after drinking champagne. With no witnesses and limited forensic resources, her death was ruled accidental drowning, despite her family's insistence that Victoria was a strong swimmer who rarely drank. Hammond collected $1.8 million from her life insurance policy. 3 months later, Daniel Westfield disappeared, and Terrence Walsh emerged in Miami with new credentials and a fresh hunting ground. The similarities between Victoria and Nadine are striking, noted Detective Lisa Morrison from the Bahamian Police. Both successful professionals with significant assets, both swept off their feet by whirlwind romances, both dead within months of marriage. Most revealing was Hammond's laptop search history in the weeks before meeting Nadine: richest neighborhoods in Jamaica, successful Jamaican businesswomen, Montego Bay luxury real estate agents, and properties without extradition to us. Have you ever discovered someone wasn't who they claimed to be? The revelation might be as simple as catching someone in a minor lie or as devastating as Nadine's discovery. Share your experience in the comments below. If this story has captured your attention, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps me continue bringing these crucial investigations to light. The Maldives resort promised absolute privacy. Their overwater bungalow stood isolated at the end of a wooden walkway, suspended above a turquoise lagoon teeming with coral and tropical fish. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed endless ocean horizons. A private infinity pool merged visually with the sea. The $2,400 per night accommodation included a personal butler and customized experiences: sunrise yoga platforms, underwater dining, midnight stargazing. He chose the most remote bungalow, the resort manager later testified. He specifically requested minimal staff interaction and declined the usual honeymoon packages that included couples activities. Nadine's Instagram showed their first 2 days filled with standard honeymoon moments, breakfast overlooking dolphins, couples massages, sunset cruises. Her captions exuded newlywed bliss. Her friends commented with heart emojis. No one detected anything amiss. The critical moment occurred on day 3, August 15th at 1:42 p.m. Resort records confirmed Terrence participated in a 3-hour scuba excursion. Nadine declined, citing a mild headache. During those 3 hours alone, her digital footprint revealed her actions with forensic precision. Her laptop search history began innocently, checking work emails, browsing TripAdvisor for local attractions. At 2:17 p.m., she searched how to transfer money between us and Jamaican accounts, likely related to their discussion about potentially purchasing property together. She then used Terrence's laptop. His password manager had saved his credentials, allowing Nadine automatic access to his email. What she discovered changed everything. Bank statements addressed to Richard Hammond, a driver's license scan showing Terrence's photo but Hammond's name, email correspondence with someone named Meredith discussing the Jamaica plan and asset liquidation timelines. Her subsequent Google searches told the rest of the story. Richard Hammond, Miami businessman. Richard Hammond, fraud. Richard Hammond, Ponzi scheme. Victoria Lawson, death, Bahamas. What to do if married to a criminal. The news article she found painted a horrifying picture. Richard Hammond, wanted for defrauding investors of millions. Richard Hammond, person of interest in his previous wife's suspicious drowning. Richard Hammond, missing since 2014, possibly fled the country. Nadine's text messages to Kimberly, recovered later from cloud backups, documented her growing terror. 2:53 p.m. Kim, I need you to do something without asking questions. Contact my lawyer. Tell him to freeze all my accounts immediately. 3:04 p.m. I found something on T's computer. He's not who he says he is. His real name is Richard Hammond. Google him. 3:17 p.m. He's wanted for fraud in the U.S. There's worse. His ex-wife died on their honeymoon. Accident. 3:22 p.m. I'm taking photos of everything I find, sending them to my email and yours as backup. 3:40 p.m. They'll be back by 5. I can't let them know I found out. Acting normal until we're around people. Her final message at 3:58 p.m. Dinner reservation at Underwater Restaurant tonight. We'll confront him in our room after. Staff nearby if needed. If you don't hear from me by morning, call police. Kimberly, asleep in New York with her phone on silent, wouldn't see these messages until 9 hours later. Too late to help her friend. What would you do if you discovered your new spouse was a fugitive? Would you confront them immediately or pretend everything was normal while planning your escape? Nadine chose the second option, believing public spaces meant safety. She couldn't have anticipated how quickly her husband would realize his secret had been discovered. The Underwater Restaurant captured them on security footage at 7:45 p.m. Nadine wore a blue silk dress, Terrence in linen pants and a white shirt. They ordered champagne. The server later recalled their conversation seemed normal, discussions about tomorrow's planned excursion, a potential property in Miami. Yet the footage revealed subtle tension. Nadine's phone remained on the table, unusual for someone who typically stowed it away during meals. Her eyes darted to exits. She excused herself twice to use the restroom. She barely touched her food, the server noted, and she kept refilling her champagne glass. At 10:28 p.m., they paid their bill and walked the illuminated pathway back to their bungalow. 2 other couples passed them, later describing them as holding hands, talking quietly. The last public sighting of Nadine alive. What happened between 10:30 p.m. and 1:15 a.m. exists only in Richard Hammond's version of events, a narrative that evolved through 3 separate police interviews. Version 1 initial statement, Nadine, we continued celebrating with champagne. Nadine wanted to swim. She was intoxicated. I advised against it. We argued. She stepped onto the deck to cool off. I heard a splash. When I ran outside, she was gone. Version 2. After autopsy results, she confronted me about emails she found. She threatened to report me. The argument escalated. She slapped me. When I grabbed her wrists, she stepped backward, tripped over the deck chair, and fell into the water. Version 3. After digital evidence recovery, ways she discovered my past. She demanded money to stay quiet. We struggled when I refused. It was self-defense. She hit her head during the struggle before falling. Resort security responded at 1:22 a.m. Their incident report documented Hammond as pointouette from the waist down, within scratches on his forearms. The night manager described him as agitated but not panicked. The search began immediately. Underwater lights illuminated the lagoon. Staff in kayaks scanned the water's surface. By dawn, professional divers arrived. At 7:38 a.m., they recovered Nadine's body 400 meters from the bungalow, caught in a coral formation. Her gold wedding band was missing. It was never found. What really happened in those 3 critical hours? The prosecution built a compelling case, but questions remain. Did Hammond plan the murder in advance, or act impulsively when discovered? Was the underwater restaurant chosen strategically to establish an intoxication narrative? How did Nadine's body travel 400 meters from their bungalow? Share your theories in the comments. What detail in this case stands out most to you? If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Our next video examines the forensic evidence that ultimately convicted Hammond. The Maldivian medical examiner's report contradicted Hammond's drowning narrative within hours. Dr. Aisha Farah documented bruising patterns inconsistent with an accidental fall, and the victim exhibited defensive wounds on her forearms and hands, finger-shaped bruises on. The upper arms indicated she was held forcefully. Most telling was the blunt force trauma to the back of her skull, impossible to sustain from falling forward off a deck. Toxicology revealed minimal alcohol in Nadine's system, 0.03%, equivalent to less than 1 glass of champagne. This directly challenged Hammond's claim of her intoxicant ion. Microscopic examination of her lungs showed limited water infiltration, suggesting she was unconscious or already deceased before entering the water. She didn't drown, Dr. Farah concluded. She died from cranial hemorrhaging caused by significant impact to the occipital bone. Someone struck her with considerable force. While Maldivian police secured the crime scene, digital forensics specialists examined the couple's devices. Hammond had deleted his search history, but cloud backups revealed searches for how long before a body surfaces in ocean, eliminating digital evidence, countries without us extradition, detecting poison in autopsy, accidental drowning versus murder. Most damning was an email draft to his sister, Meredith later identified as accomplice Meredith Dawson. If things go wrong in M, implement contingency plan. Access to the Cayman account using established protocol. Financial investigation uncovered the motive. 6 days after their wedding, Hammond purchased a $2 million life insurance policy on Nadine with himself as sole beneficiary. The policy included a double indemnity clause for accidental death, potentially paying $4 million. He had already contacted the insurance company from the resort business center the morning after her death. The FBI, alerted by Maldivian authorities, connected Hammond to his previous identities through fingerprint matching. Agent Marcus Donovan arrived with a comprehensive file. We'd been tracking Hammond through 5 identities across 7 years. Nadine was the 3rd woman he'd married. The pattern was identical. Romance, marriage, life insurance, tragic accident. Victoria Lawson's case was reopened. Exhumation revealed similar cranial trauma, inconsistent with drowning. Hammond had collected $1.8 million from her death before disappearing. Prosecutor Layla Hussein built the case methodically. We established means, motive, and opportunity. The physical evidence contradicted each version of his story. The financial evidence showed premeditation. The digital trail revealed planning. The pattern of previous behavior demonstrated intent. When presented with the accumulated evidence, Hammond attempted to negotiate a plea deal, offering information on financial crimes in exchange for reduced charges. The prosecution refused. The trial began in January 2018 in the Maldives criminal court. Hammond faced charges of first-degree murder, fraud, and identity theft. Prosecutors presented 47 witnesses and over 200 pieces of evidence during the 21-day proceeding. Hammond maintained his innocence, claiming Nadine's death resulted from an unfortunate accident during an argument. His defense attempted to suppress the digital evidence, arguing improper search procedures, a motion denied by Judge Farah Ibrahim. The jury deliberated for just 4 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all counts. Judge Ibrahim sentenced Hammond to life imprisonment without possibility of parole, stating, "You executed a calculated plan to marry, insure, and murder an innocent woman for financial gain. The court finds no mitigating factors whatsoever." Following the conviction, Florida authorities reopened Victoria Lawson's case. The new investigation applied advanced forensic techniques unavailable during the initial examination. Victoria's family finally received closure when the medical examiner reclassified her death as homicide by blunt force trauma. For Nadine's family, the verdict brought mixed emotions. "Justice won't bring her back," her mother told reporters outside the courthouse. "System failed her twice. First by allowing this predator to operate for years, then by approving an insurance policy without proper verification. The case prompted international discussion about cross-border background checks and verification systems. Jamaica implemented the Campbell Protocol for marriage license applications, requiring enhanced identity verification and criminal background checks. Insurance companies revised their policies regarding recently married couples, implementing waiting periods and more thorough investigations for large policies. The Nadine Campbell Foundation now provides resources for identifying romance scams and verifying potential partners' backgrounds. Her story has been credited with preventing numerous similar crimes through increased awareness and caution. Looking back, the warning signs in Nadine's case now appear clear. The rushed timeline, isolated decision-making, financial secrecy, and lack of verifiable connections to his claimed past. These red flags often become visible only in hindsight. Predators like Hammond exploit fundamental human desires for connection, for love, for building a future. They research targets meticulously, crafting personas designed to appeal specifically to each victim. They isolate their targets from support networks through whirlwind romance and major life changes. When questioned, they deflect with emotional manipulation rather than transparency. Nadine Campbell didn't die in vain. Her case has strengthened international verification systems, reformed insurance protocols, and educated countless potential victims. The foundation bearing her name has prevented dozens of similar crimes through awareness campaigns and background verification services. My daughter was brilliant in business but vulnerable in love, Claudette Campbell reflected. Her legacy isn't how she died, but how many lives she's saving now. If this story impacted you, please like and share it with someone who might benefit from these warnings. Subscribe to support more investigations that could save lives. What relationship red flags have you recognized in your life? Your comment might help someone else identify danger before it's too late.